legacy of the Vajra heart essence is one of unwavering spontaneity and equalness. The immensity of sublime basic space, which is not made or unmade, is not some finite range that can be characterized with words. It is the welling forth of an expanse of sublime knowing, the scope of one's self-knowing awareness. A yogin who is free of conceptual and descriptive elaborations comes to a decision that whether it can be characterized or not is irrelevant. Since neither meditation nor anything to meditate on can be discovered, there is no need to slay the enemies of dullness, agitation, and thought. Within the timelessly abiding omnipresent state, the true nature of phenomena, there are no concepts of self or other. So the three realms themselves constitute a pure realm of natural equalness. For victorious ones of the three times, awareness's own manifestations are pure. Since everything constitutes a single state of equalness, with nothing to renounce or accept, there is nothing in the slightest to attain elsewhere. All phenomena are clearly evident within the vast expanse of mind itself, yet they do not stray in the least from the ultimate meaning of equalness. Longchen Rabjam, the precious treasury of the basic space of phenomena. Y'all, this is Darren Littlejohn. Welcome to the 12-Step Buddhist Podcast, episode 77. What we resist persists, but resistance is futile. And continuing with Practices of a Bodhisattva, and number 34. Harsh words disturb the minds of others and compromise a bodhisattva's right conduct. Therefore, to give up harsh and unpleasant speech is the practice of a bodhisattva. Well, how do, y'all? What's cracking in the new year? Here it is, and here we are. I remember the plans of 2020. I was really excited. So it's kind of hard to get excited for the new year because I was really, had a 2-book contract. One of them was done. The other one was getting done, and everything looked fine. And then, 2020, March, boom, everything dropped out. Had to rework my book, publish it myself. Took me a couple more years, but it's right and it's correct. But dang, I could have used some help, and all that stuff that happened going through that time period. We don't need to all, think about it. We know. I don't need to give you my version of it for sure. But looking at the new year and feeling super like I had my Google Calendar labeled out. It's going to kick ass. I actually feel pretty solid and centered in some ways this year. In going forward, I don't really need to make a huge leap to push beyond so much of the obstacles, because there was so much coming from outside. So this year, the idea is for me to complete 2 books and up-level my conduct, body, speech, and mind, my vibration, my living situation, make my pets happy. Ultimately, the point is to buy a piece of land and create an animal sanctuary that also serves as a little kind of private, invitation-only event kind of deal. Have a teacher and 15 people or so. People can work with the animals. That's what I want to do. I had the idea of calling it Buddha's Sanctuary. But yeah, I have a view for that. I can accomplish it, but I got to complete this series of books that I started. An idea, and it just kind of keeps building on itself. I even have the 4th one that I know I have to do, but I feel like it's super deep and super esoteric, and it's going to take me, into a journey of my own studies for maybe a couple more years. It usually works out that when I have an idea for a book, I have to become qualified somehow I have to bring myself up to the game. You know what I mean? To step up to the plate for me, it's a different kind of process than it might be for others. But once I know I have the idea and that it is going to be a book, like this one now here, this is going to be a book. It's not maybe. It's a good time to start with things. So I hope that your starting is awesome. And if you're listening to this not at the beginning of 2023, you may be listening to this in the year 2525. If man is still alive, if woman can survive. You guys know that song? I should open the show with them singing it, please, not me. But yeah, who knows when you're going to listen to this in the future. You might be listening to this vibration from another dimension right now. You may have already heard me say it before I even thought about it. So wherever you're at, start where you are. Boom. To be in the moment, to be present. We can practice our presence, the nice deep inhale. Let it fill the knot in your heart. Let it fill it. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Let go with a nice relaxed. I'm glad you're not getting my bad breath there. I was getting close to the mic to just kind of let you know that when you exhale, kind of the art of it is to, I'm going to do it the wrong way, kind of. You're not, you know what I mean, you're not going potty. You're letting it go so relaxed. Inhale. Somehow let it go even easier. And you just drift in that essence right there, y'all. Drift, float. Let it float away. Let it all get far away. It's just you in space. It's just you in space. It's not even you anymore. It's just space. Empty space. Jump back. Hi! Who is it? Aware of empty space. All right, so this is a good one, you know. However, we must follow it up with how we walk and how we talk and how we think. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. Why do we want to be a bodhisattva? We are in the compassion path because we understand the Four Noble Truths, regardless of where we got them from. We understand the nature of samsara, impermanence, suffering. We understand the four measurables, equanimity as an example. Maybe it's the only example we need. Maybe only one of these to fruition of wisdom and understanding is all that we need. We don't know. The practice is not easy. The Bodhisattva practice, if you haven't noticed by now, we're on number 34. We've only got 3 more to go. The practice is kind of hard. I mean, it is for me. If we have this admonition, harsh words, boom, you can understand that, okay, in stillness, like we got to find stillness, y'all. If we can't find stillness, it ain't gonna go. From there, you gotta, okay? However long and much work that takes you, if it's now to countless lifetimes, we must commit. This is the refuge in the Dharma. This is the refuge in the Buddha. This is the refuge in the Sangha. We work this way with each other. We help each other out. We get mindful presence. We get aware. We get and we understand it. We feel it. Our global presence. 80% of our energy. I passed this on from a teaching in 2010. The teacher doesn't want to be named, but I credit it's not mine. But this works. Global presence. All 5 senses. The kleshas, the 5 aggregates. Okay, all 5 senses and the mind, this whole global dealio, the whole scamus framus. I had the word scamus framus in the 12-step Buddhist, and I insisted, and they agreed to keep it, and they didn't. They fucking edited that and didn't even tell me, and within the contract they can do it, and if I called them out on it, they wouldn't even answer me. The word scamus framus comes from my old sponsor, John Peterson, down there in Long Beach. I think he's passed now. He was long past the point of functioning when I saw him last, quite a few years ago, about 5-6 years ago. But he used to say that, along with other things like pretty profound, pretty cool spiritual things, you know, such as watch, look, and listen. And sometimes he'd say, "What, fool?" Like he'd look to the right and he'd go, "Wait, it's coming to me." A little bit Fred Sanford, you know. It's coming, the big one. But he'd go, "No, shh, God wants me to tell you something, fool." It always comes from the right, you know, he would say. His intuition. It's kind of cool. It actually works kind of that way for me as well. I kind of learned that, I think, to kind of look within directionally in different things, in different ways. Look up, look down, look deep, look around, try to get a 360-degree global view. We use 80% of our energy, whether it's on our internal meditation or in bed or in dream yoga. If we can do dream yoga, we can find our mindful presence. If we can't find our mindful presence, we use 80% of our energy for 15 seconds to focus on the global. You know, you'll notice what you don't notice. You'll notice what you see if you can lean back and sit back into the chair, right, into your Buddhahood, right, and sit into your Buddhahood. And this is a good way to think of it, because Buddhahood isn't somewhere else, it says, we read earlier. So it's always there. It's always here. We have to say as if it's separate, but it's not separate from our nature. This is our nature. So we sit, have a seat. Have a seat, Buddha. Have a seat in your Buddha chair. It's been there. Never left. It can't be gone when you look for it. You don't have to look for it. It's not somewhere else. Okay, so just have an inhale. Exhale, let it go. Notice your point of resistance to this. Notice where you still got little naughty vibrations and wambo jambos. And the scamus framus is a technical term for, I don't know what the fuck that is. It's like a group of things. It's like a thing. It's like an entity. I don't know how to talk about it. There was a line in an Elmore Leonard book I'm reading, Maximum Bob. Someone said something to the lady on the phone. He says, oh, Judge Bob says, I want to talk to the man of the house. And then heard from the woman a sound he couldn't identify. It's a good line. Have to analyze and understand and fix and contextualize and rob ourselves of the moment with. I mean, that's a good Chuck Chamberlain concept, self-robbery, he'd call it, self-robbery. Some of these old AA guys, when AA was pretty spiritual in some ways, even though it was other things in other ways, some of these guys had some pretty deep presence. Chuck Chamberlain, I think, had the most deep presence of anyone ever heard in AA, and I don't think anybody would ever dispute that. But this is one of the things we steal away, our own presence. We steal away from ourselves. We take it away from ourselves. And the moment is fresh, and the moment is here, and the moment is now. And there's these knots in the way, these obstacles in the way of us just getting comfy, cozy, man, chilling in the Buddha seat. Chill up in here. Have an inhale. Let those knots dissolve. Light fades, emptiness, space. Sorry, I have to come back and punch this in. So the law of backwards law, or the backwards law, is also connected to the law of inverse proportion. So when we strive for something, not only does it elude us, like if we're in quicksand and we start to swim, and the more we struggle, the deeper we sink until our inevitable demise. If you've never seen the old Tarzan show or movie, you can see that example. But it is a mathematical equation, and the example is speed and time travel. Or the example is that, as an example, speed and travel time are inversely proportional. The faster you go, the less time it takes to complete your trip. So what we resist persists. The faster we go, the less time translates into the more effort we apply, the less results we get. Because the effort is to apply conceptual, dualistic, subject-object layering, conceptualization, any idea at all on reality, on our real nature, say the teachings. So that's how it's not only a backwards law, but it's an inverse proportion, because the harder we try, the worse it gets. The more effort we put in, the more we sink. So those two work together. Jump back. Who am I? Sounds like the Rascally Rabbit or Alice in Wonderland, but how is it not? This is the mystical experience, y'all. 12 steps and sobriety started for me because step 11 was on the wall. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand, etc. Okay? Read the 12-step Buddhist. It's all, covered that. This is the mystical domain. It's never not been the mystical. It's never been anything but the mystical domain in a relative world. In a conventional sense, see, this is a point that I had wanted to make, and I maybe thought about doing a whole show on it. The idea of a provisional meaning or a relative meaning, it starts with this. We bring ourselves to the moment with our backup plan, right? With our armament, whether it's an armament of weakness structures or an armament of ego, big power over whatever structures. This is all fabrication and manifestation of pure emptiness. It's created from this dualistic, absolute kind of reflection, this sudden shock that there's an I that's aware of itself. It must be a separate concrete thing that becomes a fear-based panic reaction. It becomes the law of inverse reaction, or the law of backward relativity, the backwards law. Sorry, I have to come back and punch this in. So the law of backwards law, or the backwards law, is also connected to the law of inverse proportion. So when we strive for something, not only does it elude us, like if we're in quicksand and we start to swim, the more we struggle, the deeper we sink until our inevitable demise. If you've never seen the old Tarzan show or movie, you can see that example. But it is a mathematical equation, and as an example, speed and travel time are inversely proportional. The faster you go, the less time it takes to complete your trip. So what we resist persists. The faster we go, the less time translates into the more effort we apply, the less results we get. Because the effort is to apply conceptual, dualistic, subject-object, layering, conceptualization, any idea at all on reality, on our real nature, say, the teachings. It's not only a backwards law, but it's an inverse proportion, because the harder we try, the worse it gets. The more effort we put in, the more we sink. So those two work together. Where we're at in the show here, I'm just giving you this basic meditation. It's very simple. Taught it for many years. It's the easiest thing I can do. The inhale. Notice the tension. Exhale. Let it go. Linger. Notice. Who is it that is having this experience? And knowing that if we apply resistance here, and resistance means trying to apprehend, grasp, conceptualize, analyze, understand, this is resistance. Resistance is a vibration that occurs in infinite nothingness. So if nothingness is nothing, something is even a little tiny energy quark string of vibration. However, physicists, the bridges are there, but it's out of my realm. What we're talking about is this law, this backwards law. So I'll read a little bit from Enzelganger. I don't know who Enzelganger is, but I like the name, and I thought I thought this was a reflective piece. And the link is in the show notes. Again, the show notes are always at podcast.compassionaterecovery.us. You can listen to the show there. There are texts there. More stuff will show up. I'm working on fine-tuning the site. Oh, go to the site and do your ACE test, please. It's an anonymous poll. People are getting, I'm definitely reaching you. I'm reaching you. I know I'm reaching you. Your ACE scores are, I'm not going to talk about the results, but I know I'm reaching you. Let's get more results up there. Go to podcast.compassionaterecovery.us. Check out the shows. You could put a tip in the tip jar. Could help. Could be generous, could be appreciated, would be appreciated. He says, what if we try not to think of a pink elephant? This probably won't work, because as soon as the pink elephant appears in our minds, it's impossible to get rid of it consciously, not thinking about it. And the more we try to get rid of it, the more it persists. The elephant simile is commonly used to show how difficult it is to get rid of intrusive thoughts by force. But we could also use this simile as a metaphor for how we approach dissatisfaction with life. The pink elephant in this case represents our general dissatisfaction, which may manifest as negative emotions like sadness, stress, anger, or boredom. Ironically, the more we try to be less satisfied, the more dissatisfied we become. So could it be that this inclination to be so invested in becoming free from dissatisfaction, trying to be happy, trying to be content, is exactly the reason we aren't? I had to record that sentence like 3 times. That was a tough one. Here we see the paradox of willpower, which is the basis of the law of reversed effort, also referred to as the backwards law by philosopher Alan Watts. The backwards law proposes that the more we pursue something, the more we achieve the opposite of what we truly want, and the more disappointed we feel. Or simply put, the harder we try, the less likely we'll succeed. Now, he says something that isn't true to me. On the flip side, when we stop trying, we'll have what we want. It is true, but it isn't true in the conventional sense. There's a book link, actually, that I put into the show notes because it was kind of a cute title about applying the backwards law to get what you really want. And we have to think about this in the Dharma sense. Okay, so understand something. Okay, the words that you hear and you say, that's not it. The experience is global, effortless expanse of timeless awareness that we notice ourselves aware as. I got to stop talking there, That's the thing. The instructions kind of leave you. The instructions leave you to discover on your own, but we don't want to. So this is true and it's not true. So on the flip side, when we stop trying, we'll have what we want. It doesn't mean that we're still aspiring for material gain. It doesn't mean it's another manipulation. We say in AA, cunning, baffling, powerful, about alcoholism, the mind, however, the ego, however it is for us, our demons, our ego, our clinging, our grasping. It's not about getting what we want. It's about letting go entirely. It's about, as AA would also say, let go absolutely, letting go absolutely. Sit in your Buddha chair. And I'm inviting you to sit in your Buddha chair with this little practice that we keep doing, that we've been doing for years on the podcast and years in my yoga classes and retreats and groups and so on. So there's a reason that we do this, and this is the context of it. And sometimes we got to fill in, although the practice is simple. It's simple but not easy. It's simple, but it takes a combination of effort and not effort, and then effort and application, and then kind of say fuck it, just say fuck it, and let it go completely. Say fuck it, I'm gonna stop. Don't care anymore. That's good. That's a good point to be at. That's a good point to be at. In a way, it's repurposing our fuck it mentality. In NA, they say, don't get the fuck it's, that's one step closer to a drink or using or whatever. But if you can repurpose the fuck it into unhooking or letting go of the attachment, or not caring so much to apply the mind and to create something, or to understand something, or grab something, or hold on to something, or fiercely defend something, you just got to inhale. Feel it in your chest, the little subtle vibration, the knot, and just let it unwind, let it dissolve. Just let it go, let it go, let it go. Let yourself go, and who's watching the show? Let yourself go, and who's watching the show? And that's what you'll know. When you're sitting in the Buddha seat, you're already in the Buddha seat. There's a good article here in what we're trying to get. It's really well thought out, and I recommend it. It's a nice article. Our application of this, as we go into this energy of anger and rage that we dealt with on our last episode, harsh words disturb the minds of others. So you got to think about this equanimity and this peace, this Buddhahood. Like, just imagine that, and some practices do this. Just imagine that there's a field of infinite Buddhas. I in all beings take refuge in the Buddha. I in all beings take refuge in the Dharma. I in all beings take refuge in the Sangha. And we just imagine a green Tara on the top of everyone's head. We just imagine Buddha filling, etc., etc. We can also imagine this peace in this sea of ocean of peace and equanimity, and us disturbing it by taking a shit right in the middle of it with our emotional bullshit. Squat down, spread your ass like you're in India in a hole, let it go, like right in the middle of everyone's meditation. That's what the Bodhisattvas practice is telling us to notice. We have to be mindful to notice it. If you don't notice there's any stillness, you can't notice all your shit polluting the atmosphere. So this will compromise our conduct, obviously. If we're going to think it, we're going to feel it, we're going to justify it, we're going to talk ourselves into it, and we're going to let it happen. Now, if we have deep ACEs, we may need medication, we may need deep sauna, massage, yoga, all kind of however. We talk about all of this in Compassionate Recovery, Mindful Healing for Trauma and Addictions. We talk about all of this in the 12-Step Buddhist. Previously, not all of it. There's a lot more in the newer books, but this is the idea, comprehensive, multifaceted, choose your own adventure, but do it with confidence, credibility, accountability, some help, a compassion circle, read the books. Therefore, to give up harsh and unpleasant speech is the practice of a bodhisattva. I personally could focus on this for the rest of my life. If you let go and you're not putting any effort into it, and not even energetic effort, and not even mental effort, and not even thought effort, but you just notice those thoughts, you just notice the energy, you just notice the vibrations, just notice that it's all just like, feel it, just hear it. Lean back into it. You hear it, taste it, feel it, sense it, global presence. Inhale. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Let that shit go, bro. I went on a bit too long, so good luck with the knots of resistance. It's the wambo jambo. It's the scamus framus. It's sort of like a cloud. It's like a cloud. And the cloud obscures our Buddha. Like, where's my Buddha seat? I don't know where my Buddha feet are. I don't know how to sit my butt in my Buddha chair, because all my thoughts and all my toxic stuff that's manifesting, obscured by clouds, Pink Floyd said. Well, it's always sunny, and not just in Philadelphia. Is enough enough? Enough is enough. Until next time, peace out and namaste.